Vandeyam Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sagana Lalita Shivishikam Vidam Sya Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyana Jana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindam Vidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chailanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vandetam Shubharam Maneka Sharanam Nyasishwara Sridharam Vanchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Antya-lila, chapter 9, the deliverance of Gopinath Pattanayaka. And I'll begin with verse number 79. So Mahaprabhu is expressing to Kashi Mishra that he's thinking of leaving Jagannath Puri and going to Alalanath because too many people are disturbing him about saving Gopinath Pattanayaka. And he says people are coming to him all the time and asking him to intercede, and he doesn't want to involve himself in the affairs of people misusing their position in society or the government. So Jadi va tomara tare rakite hoiman ajije rakila se korive rakan. Finally, Kashi Mishra told the Lord, if you want to give protection to Gopinath, then Lord Jagannath, who protected him today, will also protect him in the future. Etabole Kashi Mishra Gela Swa Mandire Madhyane Prataparudra Aila Taragane. After saying this, Kashi Mishra left the abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and returned to his own temple. At noon, King Prataparudra came to Kashi Mishra's home. Prataparudra ek achaye niyame jatadina raheteho Shri Purushottame. As long as Maharaj Prataparudra stayed in Purushottame, he performed one regular duty. So Kashi Mishra is Brahmin, and the king comes to see him as regularly. Nitya Shikori Mishra para Samvahan Jagana Seva Kore Biyana Shravan. He would come daily to the house of Kashi Mishra to massage his lotus feet. The king would also hear from him about how opulently Lord Jagannath was being served. Raja Mishra Charana Jahe Kapite Lagila Tabe Mishra Tarikechu Bangite Lagila. When the king began pressing his lotus feet, Kashi Mishra informed him about something through hints. Devashuna Ara Ek Aparupa Bhat Mahaprabhu Ketra Chadi Jabana Alanath. My dear king, he said, please hear one uncommon item of news. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to leave Jagannath Puri and go to Alalanath. Shuni Raja Duki Hoila Puchilena Karan Tabe Mishra Kohetare Saba Vivaran. When the king heard that Mahaprabhu was going to Alalanath, he was very unhappy and inquired about the reason. Then Kashi Mishra informed him of all the details. Gopinath Pattanayaka Jabe Change Chadaila Tarasevaka Sab Ashe Prabhure Kahila. When Gopinath Pattanayaka was lifted onto the Changa, he said, all the servants went to inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So lifted onto the Changa. The Changa is a platform, and beneath that platform there are many upraised spears, and the person is pushed off the platform onto the spears and executed in that way. So to threaten Gopinath Pattanayaka, they put him on the Changa because he owed money, and that they were threatening him. So then many people came to Mahaprabhu asking him to save Gopinath Pattanayaka, because he's also the son of, he's the brother of Ramananda Ray, he's the son of Bhavananda Ray, so people were very concerned. Shuniya Kobita Hoila Mahaprabhu Man Krode Gopinatha Koila Bahuta Barsan. Hearing about this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely sorry at heart, and in anger he chastised Gopinath Pattanayaka. So Kashi Mishra is reporting this, but he gives a little bit of a slant on the news to garner something of the king's good sentiment. So he says, Ajitendriya hoya kore raja vishai mana asat pate kore raja drabya vyai. Because he is mad after sense gratification, the Lord said, he acts as a government servant but spends the government's revenue for various sinful activities. Now, this is not exactly what Mahaprabhu said. He just said people were disturbing me, asking me to intercede and save Gopinath. But he didn't say that, So then, Brahmana adika ehoi rajadan tahahare boga kore mahapapijan. The revenue of the government is more sacred than the property of a Brahmin. One who misappropriates the government's money and uses it to enjoy sense gratification is most sinful. Rajara Bhartanakai Arachuri Kore Raja Danya Hoy Se Shastrara Vichare. One who serves the government but misappropriates the government's revenue is liable to be punished by the king. And the king is Mahapratra Parudra. That is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. Nija Kodi Mage Raja Nahe Kore Danda Raja Maha Dharmika E Hoy Papi Banda. The king wanted his revenue paid and did not want to enforce punishment. Therefore, the king is certainly very religious, but Gopinath Pattanayaka is a great cheat. So the whole affair with Gopinath Pattanayaka is he owed money to the government because he was collecting taxes from people, and at that moment he didn't have enough money, obviously invested in something, to pay that. So he said, but anyway, I'll pay it in the very as quickly as I can. But right now I have these horses that I purchased. Apparently he was doing business. Then take those horses and I'll pay the rest. So these horses can be sold. So they put the king's son, the prince, to evaluate the horses, but he deliberately gave a very low price. So Gopinath Pattanayaka insulted the prince and said, why are you putting a price so low on my horses? They're not more or less said, they're not like you. They don't always twist their head and look at the sky like that. So the prince became very angry and said he doesn't want to pay his money, and he should be, but if you allow me to threaten him, I'll get it out of him. And the king said, yes, do whatever you need to get the money, that's all. And then as soon as they put him, like apparently they were going to push him onto the swords from the Changa and kill him, and then so many people came to Mahaprabhu to ask him to help save Gopinath Pattanayaka. But Mahaprabhu didn't talk that he's a great cheat, but this is an embellishment that Kashi Mishra is saying to the king to garner his affection, make him think that Mahaprabhu is very, understands and is very much siding against Gopinath Pattanayaka, but Mahaprabhu called him a great cheat. Rajakare nadeya amare fukare imahaduk ihan ke sohite pare. He does not pay the revenue to the king, but he wants my help for release. This is a great sinful affair. I cannot tolerate it here. This is the report. Alalana jai tahan nischinte rahimu vishayara balo manda bartana shunimu. Therefore I shall leave Jagannath Puri and go to Alanath, where I shall live peacefully and not hear about these affairs of materialistic people. So what Mahaprabhu basically just said is, I'll go to Alanath because too many people are disturbing me. I don't want to hear all the details of this. So, Etta shuni kohe raja paya mane vyata sabdravya charon shadi prabhu rohena ata. When King Pratraparudra heard all these details, he felt great pain in his mind. I shall give up all that is due from Gopinath Pattanayaka, he said, if Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will stay here at Jagannath Puri. Ek kana prabhurajadi paye darshan kote chintamane laba nahitarasam. If even for a moment I could get an interview or the darshan with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I would not care for the profit of millions of chintamani stones, of the most valuable jewels, of millions of jewels. I wouldn't care. I would not take that for just one moment with Mahaprabhu. Konchara pararta e duilaka kahan pranaraja karun prabhupade nirmachan. I do not care about this small sum of 200,000 kahanas. To the king, it's a small amount. What to speak of this? I would indeed sacrifice everything at the lotus feet of the Lord, including my life and kingdom. Mishra kohe kodi chariba nahe prabhorman taraduk paya e nai jai sahan. Kashi Mishra hinted to the king, it is not the Lord's desire that you forfeit the payment. He is unhappy only because the whole family is troubled. Raja kohe tariyame dukanahi diye change chara kadge vidara amina janiye. The king replied, I had no desire to give pain to Gopinath Pattanayaka and his family, nor did I know about his being lifted onto the Changa to be thrown on the swords and killed. Purushottama janare teho koila parihas se jana kore dekaila midyatras. He sneered at Purushottama Jana. Therefore the prince tried to scare him as a punishment. What Kashi Mishra, what the king is saying to Kashi Mishra is that Gopinath Pattanayaka, he insulted the prince, so the prince wanted to scare him. But of course, he's on the Changa. If somebody pushes him, he dies. So it's not. It's not some, not just a question of scaring him. There's always that possibility. Tumi jaha prabhure rakana jatna kori emui tahare chadinu sab kori. Go personally to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and keep him at Jagannath Puri with great attention. I shall excuse Gopinath Pattanayaka from all his debts. Mishra kohe kode chadiba nahe prabhur mane kode chadite prabhu karachit dukkha mane. Kashi Mishra said, excusing Gopinath Pattanayaka of all his debts will make the Lord unhappy, for that is not his intention. Okay. Yeah. Raja kohe kode chadimu ihana kohiva sahaje mora priyatara iha janaiba. The king said, I shall absolve Gopinath Pattanayaka of all his debts, but don't speak of this to the Lord. Simply let him know that all the family members of Bhavananda Ray, including Gopinath Pattanayaka, are naturally my dear friends. Bhavananda Ray Amar Puja Garbita Taraputra Gane Amar Sahaje Prita. Bhavananda Ray is worthy of my worship and respect. Therefore, I am always naturally affectionate to his sons. But when the prince said, I'll put him on the chunga to scare him, and that way we can collect the money, the king had said, yes, do whatever is necessary. I'm just interested you can collect the debt. So now he's saying something else. Bhavananda Ray is worthy of my worship and respect. Therefore, I'm always naturally affectionate to his sons. So we know this in just our daily dealings, that sometimes you say something you can say almost casually, and all of a sudden people become very disturbed at one's words, although they're not really ill intentions. It's just like, oh yeah, go ahead and do that if you think it'll work. So that was more or less the king's response originally, but now when there's some consequences, then he said, well, I never wanted that. Which is somewhat true. He didn't necessarily want to disturb everyone. He was just interested. When the prince told him, I can collect the debt, I'll do this. Okay. Etabole Mishre Namaskore Rajagare Gela Gopinathe Borajanai Dakiya Anila. After offering obeisances to Kashi Mishra, the king returned to his palace and called for both Gopinayaka and the eldest prince. The eldest prince who was the one who was disturbed with Gopinath Pattanayaka. Raja kohe sab kodi tomare chadilun se mala jatya danda pata tomare ta dilun. The king told Gopinath Pattanayaka, you are excused for all the money you owe the treasury, and the palace and the place known as Malajatya Dandapat is again given to you for collection. That's where he was collecting before, but apparently he didn't pay the debt on time. That's what proceeded on. Arabara Aichena Kahi Rajanat Aji Hoite Dilun Tomai Dviguna Vartan. That's also how Raghunath Das's father and uncle became so wealthy. They're also tax collectors, but the tax collectors are allowed to keep a certain portion of the taxes that they collect. But sometimes they would keep more than they were allowed, and therefore it created some kind of friction. But so that's apparently what also happened with Gopinath. He was collecting taxes, but he owed some money. Arabar aichena kaiha rajatan aje hoite dilun tomai dviguna vartan. Do not, again, misappropriate the revenue of the government. In case you think your salary insufficient, henceforward it will be doubled. Eta bolineta doti tare paraila Prabhu agya lahat jaha birai toma dilva. After saying this, the king appointed him by offering him a silken dhoti, a silk dhoti. Go to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said. After taking permission from him, go to your home. I bid you farewell. Now you may go. So he doubled his salary, gave him back the job and said, I excuse all the debt you have, and now if you think it's insufficient, I now double your salary, and here, take this gift. Gave him his silk dhoti. Paramarte Prabhur Kripa Seha Rahu Dure Ananta Tahara Follow Ke Bolite Pare. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can certainly become spiritually advanced. Indeed, no one can estimate the results of his mercy. Raja Vishai Fala E Kripara Abase Tahara Ganana Karo Mane Nahi Aishe. Gopinath Pattanayaka achieved the result of kingly opulence due to but a glimpse of the Lord's mercy. Therefore, no one can calculate the full value of his mercy. So, Mahaprabhu can give so much spiritual wealth to anyone who's engaged in devotion. If they can satisfy Mahaprabhu, then he can give them everything spiritually, and what to speak of, something like something of material wealth. That's insignificant for the Lord's, but Gopinath Pattanayaka attained so much materially just as an indirect result of indicating that Mahaprabhu was disturbed. Then Kahan Change Chadaya Loy Danapran Kahan Sab Chadi Se Rajadi Pradhan. Gopinath Pattanayaka was lifted onto the Changa to be killed, and all his money was taken away, but instead his debts were excused and he was appointed collector in the same place. Kahan Sarvasva Beche Loy Deyana Jaikodi Kahan Dviguna Bartan Parai Neta Doti. On one hand, Gopinath Pattanayaka was unable to clear his debt even by selling all his possessions. But on the other, his salary was doubled and he was honored with a silk dhoti. Prabhura Icha Nahi Tare Kore Chadaibe Dviguna Vartana Kore Puna Vishadive. It was not the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Gopinath Pattanayaka be excused of his debt to the government, nor was it his desire that his salary be doubled or that he be reappointed collector at the same place. Tatapi tara seva ashi koila nibedan tate kuba hoila jabe Mahaprabhurman. When Gopinath Pattanayaka's servant went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and informed the Lord of his plight, the Lord was somewhat agitated and dissatisfied. Vishaisu dite prabhur nahi manobal nivedana prabhaveha tabu fale etafal. The Lord had no intention of awarding his devotee the happiness of material opulence, yet simply because of his being informed, such a great result was obtained. Ke kohite pare gorer ascharya swabhav Brahma Shiva Adi Jara Napai Antarbhav. No one can estimate the wonderful characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the intentions of the Lord. Eta Kashi Mishra Asi Prabhur Charane Rajara Charitra Sab Koilani Vedane. Kashi Mishra went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and informed him in detail of all the king's intentions. Prabhu kohe Kashi Mishra ki tumi korila raja pratigraha tumi amakaraila. Upon hearing about Kashi Mishra's tactics with the king, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kashi Mishra, what have you done? You have made me indirectly take help from the king. Mishra kohe shuna Prabhu rajar vachane akapate raja e koila nivedane. King Kashi Mishra said, my dear Lord, the king has done this without reservations. Kindly hear his statement. Prabhu jena nahi janen raja amar lagia duilaka kahan kodi dileka chariya. The king said, speak to the Lord in such a way that he will not think, for my sake the king has forfeited 200,000 kahanas of kodis. This hasn't forfeited this sum of money. Tell Mahaprabhu, the Mahaprabhu, Kashi Mishra said to Mahaprabhu, the king told me not to think that, to say in such a way to you that he has not excused his debt just because Mahaprabhu, to involve Mahaprabhu. Let me repeat the words again. The king said, speak to the Lord in such a way that he will not think, for my sake the king has forfeited 200,000 kahanas of kodis. Don't make Mahaprabhu think that I have given up this debt just because for Mahaprabhu's sake. He says, Bhavananda Putrasab Mora Priyatam Iha Sabakare Ami Deki Atmasam. Inform Mahaprabhu that all the sons of Bhavananda Ray are especially dear to me. I consider them like members of my family. Ateva Jahan Jahan De Adhikar Kayapiye Lute Vilai Nakarote Bichar. Therefore I have appointed them collectors in various places, and although they spend the government's money, eat, drink, plunder, and distribute it as they like, I do not take them very seriously. Raja Mahinda Raja Koinur Ramarai Jai Kaila Jevadila Nahile Kadai. I made Ramananda Ray the governor of Rajamendri. There is practically no account of whatever money he took and distributed in that position. Gopinath a matra vishai korea duichari laka kahan rahena kana. Having been appointed collector, Gopinath, in the same way, also generally spends 200,000 to 400,000 kahanas as he likes. Kichu deya, kichuna deya, nakori bichar, jana sahita, apritye dukkha paila evar. Gopinath Pattanayaka would collect some and pay some, spending it at will, but I would not consider this very seriously. This time, however, he was put into trouble because of a misunderstanding with the prince. Jana eta koila iha mui nahi janan bhavanander putra sabe atma samad manon. The prince created this situation without my knowledge, but actually I consider all the sons of Bhavananda Ray to be like my relatives. I consider all the sons of Bhavananda Ray as very dear to me, like my own family. tahalage dravya chadi iha mat jane sahaje mora prite hoy iha sane. Because of my intimate relationship with them, I have absolved Gopinath Pattanayaka of all his debts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not know this fact. Whatever I have done is because of my intimate relationship with the family of Bhavananda Ray. So Gopinath Pattanayaka, who speaks a little diplomatically with the king, with Mahaprabhu, who's saying that it's not because of Mahaprabhu who's being upset, it was because Bhavananda Ray's family is all his sons are very dear to me. Which, not exactly what the king said, but okay. Shunya Rajar Vinoy Prabhur Ananda Henakale Ailataha Raja Bhavananda. There's some truth there, but it's being exaggerated a little bit. Having heard from Kashi Mishra all these statements concerning the king's mentality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. At that time, Bhavananda Ray arrived there. Panchaputra Sahite Ashi Padila Charane Utaya Prabhu Tare Koila Alingane. Bhavananda Ray, along with his 5 sons, fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who lifted him up and embraced him. So Bhavananda Ray is the father of 5 sons. Gopinath Pattanayaka is one of them. Ramananda Ray, Baninath. So Ramananda Ray, Adi Savai Milila, Bhavananda Ray, Tabe, Bolite Lagila. Thus Ramananda Ray, all his brothers and their father met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Bhavananda Ray began speaking. Tomara kinkare sab mora kula evipade raki Prabhu puna nila mula. All these members of my family, he said, are your eternal servants. You have saved us from this great danger. Therefore you have purchased us for a proper price. We feel that we are sold to you. So we are deeply indebted to you. Bhaktivedanta ebe prakata korila purbe jena pancha pandave vipade tarila. You have now demonstrated your love for your devotees, just as when you previously saved the 5 Pandavas from great danger. Neta doti Mate Gopinath Sharane Parila Rajara Kripa Britanta Saba Kahila. Gopinath Pattanayaka, his head covered with the silk dhoti, fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and described in detail the king's mercy upon him. So now he's wearing the silk dhoti upon his head. Bhakti Kodi Bora Ara Dviguna Vartana Koila Puna Vishai Diyaneta Dote Paraila. The king has excused me for the balance due, he said. He has reappointed me to my post by honoring me with this silk dhoti and has doubled my salary. Kahan Changera Upara Se Marana Pramad Kahan Neta Dhoti Puna E Sab Prasad. I was lifted onto the Changa to be killed, but instead I was honored with the silk dhoti. This is all your mercy. Changaru Pare Tomar Charan Jana Koilun Charana Smarana Prabhave Efala Pailun. On the Changa, I began meditating upon your lotus feet, and the power of that remembrance has yielded all these results. He says, one moment I was going to be killed, and the next moment I'm being honored and given this silk dhoti, and my salary's doubled, everything, just because I thought of you, because of your mercy. Loke chamatkara mora e sabdekya Prashamse Tomara Kripa Mahima Gaya. Struck with wonder by my affairs, the populace is glorifying the greatness of your mercy. Kintu Tomar Smarana Nahi E Mukya Falabasha E Jate Vishai Chanchao. However, my Lord, these are not the principal results of meditating upon your lotus feet. Material opulence is very flickering. Therefore, it is simply a glimpse of the result of your mercy. This is like indirect result of your mercy. Material opulence is like sometimes it is said that Lakshmi, who gives material opulence, Lakshmi is very chanchala. She can go here and there. She doesn't stay in one place very long. So one day somebody may get great wealth, and then the next moment they're poor. Or Lakshmi is chanchala, means she's very fickle. But Rama Raje Vinate Koila, but Nirvishai Se Kripa Mote Nahi Jadi Aiche Hoy. Yeah, Lakshmi is very fickle and goes from one place to the other, but she's always seated at the lotus feet of the Lord of Narayan. So, Ramaraye Vaninate Koila Nirvishai Se Kripam Motenahi Jati Aiche Hoy. Your real mercy has been granted to Ramananda Ray and Vaninath Ray, for you have detached them from all material opulence. I think that I have not been favored by such mercy. So I got some material opulence, but the real wealth has been attained by Ramananda Ray and Vaninath, because they're both very dear to Mahaprabhu and very much engaged in his service. Shuddha Kripa Kora Kosai Guchaha Vishai Nirvina Hoinu Mote Vishana Hoi. Kindly bestow upon me your pure mercy so that I may also become renounced. I am no longer interested in material enjoyment. Prabhu Kohe Sanyasi Chabe Hoiba Panchajan Katumba Bahuya Tomar Ke Kore Baran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you all adopt the renounced order and lose interest in dealing with pound shillings and pence, who will take charge of maintaining your large family? So Mahaprabhu is saying, okay, what you have said is all right, but you cannot just renounce everything. You have families to maintain. Mahavishai Kora Akiba Virakta Udas Janme Janme Tumi Pancha Mora Nijadas. Whether you are involved in material activities or become completely renounced, you 5 brothers are all my eternal servants, birth after birth. Kintu Mora Korea Ek Agya Palan Vyayana Korea Kichu Rajara Muladan. However, just obey one order from me. Do not spend any of the king's revenue. So Mahaprabhu I also think of Srila Govinda Maharaj. Srila Govinda Maharaj is born in the villages, and he said up until the age of like 8 years old, he didn't even wear shoes. And then later, although you could say a country person, Govinda Maharaj was so expert that he understood everything. And he could go to the West and he could understand everything involving, and very perfectly, understood everything and could adjust everything perfectly. For instance, I remember one time Srila Govinda Maharaj came here and the devotees saw that in India, Srila Govinda Maharaj used to watch the news, But in India, the news is very simple. Somebody reads from a sheet all the news that happened that day, and they show a few videos, clips of this happened and that happened, but it's all very simple, not very, detailed. But here, when the devotees thought Govinda Maharaj would want to see the news here, but the news here is very spectacular, and they're always trying to, make it like it was a television program, very presented in a way like this happened, and so they showed that to Srila Govinda Maharaj, and when the commercials come on, normally, if we're watching a program and the commercials come on, we mute the commercials by taking the remote and muting it. But when the commercials came on, Srila Govinda Maharaj increased the volume. Everyone was confused. He's watching the news, but when the commercials come on, instead of muting them, he increases the volume. And then the devotees were very confused by this. But then Govinda Maharaj, he said about the commercials, this is the real program. The rest of it is just filler. In other words, the news is just filler, and that is actually exactly what is the truth. But Govinda Maharaj knew that immediately just by watching a few moments of the news, how they make everything extravagant and everything. But it's all based on so many commercials, so many money interests of big companies. And Govinda Maharaj knew that immediately. So that he can understand any situation just by hearing about it or seeing it. That's why they say, Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Sri Rupa Patanagam. Everything that is knowable, that is directly perceivable or indirectly perceivable, he knows all that. Govinda Maharaj knows these things. He intuitively understands. Not only spiritually, but also materially. And he would watch programs that nobody would normally watch. He would watch programs about cooking. And then the devotees would not normally watch that, because when they're cooking, a lot of times they're cutting up meat and everything. But he wanted to know what is the mentality of the West, so he's watching these programs. Sometimes he's watching programs about hunting. But in the programs about hunting, it's all much different. And it's not just a hunter with bow and arrows or a rifle, but it's all big hunters with these infrared, very detailed scopes on high power. He was seeing what is the West all about. And he's watching programs that normally the devotees would never look at to understand what's the mentality of the West. And he knew, he could understand these just after watching, because he already understood. Rajara Muladana Diya Jai Kichu Labya Hoy Saidana Koriya Nana Dharme Karme Byaya. First you should pay the revenue due to the king, and then you may spend the balance for religious and fruitive activities. And then Mahaprabhu said, first pay the money you owe the king, and then spend the money as you like on religious activities if you're so inclined, or for your own sense gratification or your family. You can do as you like, but first pay your debts to the king. Asadvyayana Koriya Jate Dui Loka Jai Itabole Sabakare Dilana Vidai. Don't spend a farthing for sinful activities for which you will be the loser, both in this life and the next. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade them farewell. Rayaragare Prabhura Kripa Vivarta Kahila Bhakta Vatsaya Guna Jate Vyakta Hoila. Thus the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was spoken of in the family of Bhavananda Ray. That mercy was clearly demonstrated although it appeared to be something different. Savai Alingya Prabhu Vidai Jabedila Haridvani Koresa Bhakta Utigela. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all and bade them farewell. Then all the devotees got up and left, loudly chanting the holy name of Hari. Prabhura Kripa Deki Savar Hoila Chamatkar Tahar Bhujite Nare Prabhura Vyavyahar. Seeing the extraordinary mercy of the Lord granted to the family of Bhavananda Ray, everyone was struck with wonder. They could not understand the behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tarasabe Jade Kripa Korite Sadila Amahoite Kichuna He Prabhu Tabe Kohila. Indeed, when all the devotees had requested the Lord to bestow his mercy upon Gopinath Pattanayaka, the Lord had replied that he could do nothing. Gopinath er ninda ara apana nirbeda ematra kohila iharna bujibe beda. I have simply described the chastisement of Gopinath Pattanayaka and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's indifference, but the deep meaning of this behavior is very difficult to understand. Kashimishana Sadila Rajarena Sadila Udyoga Bina Mahaprabhu Eta Faladila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave much to Gopinath Pattanayaka without directly making request of either Kashimishra or the king. Chaitanya Charitamrita Paramagambir Se Buje Tarapade Jaramanadir. The intentions of Mahaprabhu are so deep that one cannot understand them. The intentions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are so deep that one can understand them only if he has complete faith and service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Jai Ihan Shune Prabhur Vatsaya Prakash Prema Bhakti Pai Tara Vipara Jayanash. Whether or not one understands it, if one hears of this incident concerning the activities of Pattanayaka and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy upon him, certainly he will be promoted to the platform of ecstatic love for the Lord, and for him all dangers will be nullified. Whether or not one understands it, if one hears of this incident concerning the activities of Gopinath Pattanayaka and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy upon him, certainly he will be promoted to the platform of ecstatic love for the Lord, and for him all dangers will be nullified. Sri Rupa Raghunath Parijara As Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila, 9th chapter, describing the deliverance of Gopinath Pattanayaka and the manifestation of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy to his devotees. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Govinda Ram Shri Madhusunan Govinda Ram Girirari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Rasa Raghunath H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Ite Vignana Shabishta Puran H.I. Gosai Jarmui Taradas Tasavar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Abilas H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nittai Gora Haribo 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 Nittai Gora Haribo 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jo Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilakneriya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmavacharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajaka Ashta Tada Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabrajaka Ashta Tada Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shadgo Swami Prabhu ki jai, Prem se go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Bhimala Avadut Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Kuladip ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radhakunda Kalindi Yamuna Jul ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Shri Mahadvarasi ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Maharaj ki jai.